Hello everyone, welcome to Research Methodology class. For today, we're going to talk about the chapter 5, and that is plagiarism. Plagiarism is one of the major issues in research writing and publications. Claiming other ideas are subject for academic sanctions or professional profile distractions. The consequences of plagiarism can be personal, professional, ethical, and legal. But nowadays, there are so many software that can detect plagiarized works like Turnitin, Grammarly, Double Checker, Paperator, Plagium, and a lot more. If you could still remember, the goal of research is that to gather and dig new ideas and to come up with a new theories. Okay? That's why it is very important that when you use other ideas, you have to acknowledge and cite them as like a recognition that it is their work and you are not taking that works from them. Our objectives for these chapters are first, let us understand the concept of plagiarism and its effect to writing credibility of a researcher. And the second objective is let us familiarize with the common types and ways on how we could avoid plagiarism. And lastly, our objectives is equip with skills in quoting authors' works and paraphrasing. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is an act of presenting another person's work or idea as your own. It is also the representation of another author's language, thoughts, expression as one, as if it is your original work. And plagiarism is considered to be an academic dishonesty and violation of journalistic ethics. If you are caught plagiarizing the other's work, might be you will face a different sanctions like penalties, suspensions, expulsion from school or work, substantial fines, and even incarceration. Incarceration is like also imprisonment. Actually, plagiarism is not a crime, but like a counterfeiting fraud, it can be punishable by law for prejudice caused by copyright infringement and violation of moral rights or torts. Stealing others' idea is really an ethical practice, considered as also a serious academic and intellectual offense. Plagiarism can result in highly negative consequences such as paper retraction and loss of author credibility and reputation. It is currently a grave problem in academic publishing and a major reason for retraction of research paper. What are the particular actions involved in plagiarism? Okay, it involves copying another's ideas and data. Ideas, just as words or data, are owned by the other person who created them. Most of the ideas are like the data gathered and discovered through research methodology. Another form is copying a particular designs of a product and also imitating a logo of a company. And lastly, plagiarism also involves like um, claiming particular statements that had been proven and tested through research process. What are the different types of plagiarism? Number one is copy and paste. So when you copy the multiple sources words for words and pasting this together without incorporating original thought, you are violating the intellectual property rights and you are doing a plagiarism. The second common types of plagiarism is find and replace. So it's like that you change words and phrases from the original source to pass work off as your work. It's just like that you're going to check the synonyms and change the word, okay, from its synonym. But still the context is the same. So you have to recognize the author and you have to rephrase the word, okay, or the statement as a whole. The third common type of plagiarism is sharing works or collusion. In this manner, you share your work with other students that they submit as their own, or others sharing their work with you that you submit as your own. That's why when you are writing your research now, we are going to work together so that if we publish the paper, it will be both your work and my work. And the fourth type is the self-plagiarism or recycling. It is by reusing work from previous courses without getting permission from your current instructor first. Remember, when you write the research study, it is not just your work, it is also my work because I am doing the editing, I am approving the format, and then I am checking the grammars and so as the use of university's tool for the for your research to become publishable. Okay, so if you're going to recycle that and reuse that without permission, you're going to publish it on your own, that could be considered as plagiarism. And the fifth common type of plagiarism is improper citing. Okay, when you fail to include in text or an accurate reference list, or you did not mention the name of the author, the secondary sources properly, or you you forgot, okay, unintentionally to give credit to the correct author, you are also violating and practicing plagiarism. The number six common type of plagiarism is purchasing. Purchasing sections or entire essays and submitting it as your work. There are a lot of cases, especially in the university wherein they are crummy and it's like they don't have time and they don't know and they don't want to do a research paper. They're going to purchase an essay, a case study, or a thesis, the whole thesis, okay, online or the other people, and that is plagiarism. The seventh, a common type of plagiarism is remix. So it is more unlike paraphrasing multiple citations and is stitching them together in order to make them sound like your own words. It is most likely like combining different ideas, combining different statements that has been proven by research process, and then you're going to make them sound like your own words. And the eighth type of plagiarism is the ghost citation, citing a source that doesn't actually exist or making up what the source actually said. It is like that you are creating an author. Okay, that's why in journal they are they have a different format of referencing. Okay? One of the format of journals when you write your references is that you arrange them alphabetically or you arrange them according to the citation sequence that you had mentioned them to your paper. So those are the different ways on how you're going to do the citation. But if you create only a name of a person just to make it original or just to say that you have a references, that is plagiarism because some papers they are requiring a paper, the research study to have more than 40 references. That's why I told you that um, as much as possible, you have to gather 50 references for your paper, especially you are doing a meta-analysis. Okay? The minimum number for meta-analysis is 100 research article. Okay? That's why you have a lot of time for this semester to do the meta-analysis research because you can concentrate and you could gather a lot of papers related to your research topic. I have here the video, video link wherein you can watch the ways on how you could avoid plagiarism. So if after watching the chapter 5 PowerPoint, you can go directly to the YouTube, for further enhancement of your understanding for plagiarism. And how can we avoid plagiarism? So these are some of the tips, okay, or guidelines on how you can avoid plagiarism. Number one is understand the context. Do not copy paste the text verbatim from the reference paper. Instead, restate the idea in your own words. You have to understand the idea of the reference source well in order to paraphrase correctly. The second guideline is that you can use quoting. Okay, use quotes to indicate that the text has been taken from another paper. Actually, you can copy the whole statement. Just make sure you're going to to put quotation mark. So you have to put a quotation mark and then cite at the end of the statement the name of the author and the year it was being published. The quote should be exactly the way they appear in the paper you take from. The third guideline is identify what does and does not need to be cited. Any words or ideas that are not your own but taken from another paper needed to be cited. Cite your own material. If you are using content from your paper, you must cite yourself. Using material you have published before without citation is called self-plagiarism. Okay, facts or common knowledge need not to be cited. If unsure, include a references. The fourth guidelines is that you manage your citations. Like you maintain your records, you write the list of your references. That's why by the time that I am reading a research article, I copy the the link and then I put them in one page of the Word file and then I save it to the reference of then the title of the study so that I could not I'm not going to forget them. Okay, so you can use citation software like EndNotes or Reference Manager to manage the citations used for the paper. The tips on how you can avoid plagiarism is use plagiarism checkers. There are a lot of software that you can use online. Some of them are for free, some of them are with pay. So you can use various plagiarism detection tools such as Authenticate or ET Plus to see how much of your paper is plagiarized. As a while ago, I also mentioned the Turnitin, Grammarly, Double Checker, Paperator, Plagium, and a lot more. The university has a Turnitin. That's why when you submit your paper, I could see and know if you just copy and paste your paper. I also have Grammarly. Okay, not just the plagiarism will be checked, but also the different grammar, okay, or the sentences. If there will be some technical problem with the words that you had used, you could be able to check it. A specific example that we have here is the PlugScan database system. It is a software used to detect if the research study had been plagiarized. Okay, it is going to compare with other web documents, journals, and internal archives. So this software was launched in 2009 by Marcus Goldbach and Johannes Nabe. This is the features of plug scan. You're going to submit the whole paper and then it will give you a report on which sites you had copied, okay, and it will highlight the words that you had copied and they are going to give you a suggestion on how you could rephrase or quote the article or the phrase that you had get or plagiarized in that article. Other researcher mentioned that it is standard. There are some around like uh 40% plagiarized statement is okay, but I think 0% okay, will give your paper a credibility, and that could be much more publishable, and um, it will give you a dignity, okay, when you publish your paper. Here are some of the reminders that will help you to avoid also violating the copyright, or you will not be accused of plagiarism. Okay, so while it is perfectly fine to survey previously published work, it is not all right to paraphrase the same with extensive similarity. Therefore, if you read the original work carefully, try to understand the context, take good notes, and then express it by your target audience in your own language without forgetting to cite the original source. Then you will never be accused with plagiarism, at least for the literature review section. Most of the plagiarism occurs in the literature review sections of any document, manuscript, thesis, and etc. So you have to read carefully, dig the content, the concept of the manuscript, and then you could write it on your own words. Okay, maybe you try to check how are you going to make active voice to passive voice. That could be one way on how you could do the rephrasing. What are the difference between quoting and paraphrasing? When you do quoting, it is more on you reproduce someone else's words but using quotation mark. For example, the elephant is the largest mammal in the world and can weigh nearly 8 tons. It has a quotation mark, massive body, large ears, and a long trunk, which has many uses ranging from using it as hand to pick up objects, as a horn to trumpet warnings, an arm raised in greeting to a host for drinking water or bathing. Then quotation mark, and then you cite the source, and that is not a plagiarism, that is quoting. Okay, when necessary, quotes are used to clarify, define something in the text or support claims. So you should use quotation marks. Okay, so these quotes, okay, that the quotation marks gives a good verbal description of what an elephant looks like. Okay, we don't need to add anything to it. You don't have to explain. You don't have to rephrase. Okay, by just copying as it is because you use quotation mark. Okay, it would be difficult to paraphrase all of that, okay? And some receipt will be retained. That's why we can give credits to the source in the parentheses by citing the reference, okay? And by the use of quotation mark, it will not accuse you of plagiarism. How about paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is that you use your own words to express what someone else has written. As with quotes, paraphrasing must also be cited. Remember to give credit even when paraphrasing. Okay? Paraphrasing, uh, it ensures that the reference is provided and the main idea or concept is not altered. That's why I mentioned a while ago that uh, you can paraphrase by using active voice, okay, change it to passive voice, or passive voice, change it to active voice. In the example, you could see here the description of elephant had been paraphrased, and it cited the references or the source of the information. Paraphrasing is quite useful in writing a thesis. Somehow it's kind of difficult because you will be composing your own words, okay? And here are some of the guidelines you can follow. Number one, you have to make sure that you are completely aware of the content or the message behind the quote. Do not just copy, do not just paraphrase without understanding the context of the statement. Secondly, you have to compose your paraphrase without referring to the quote. It's just like that you remove the quotation mark. That's not a good way of paraphrasing. Okay, and the last one, you can compare your paraphrase with the quote to ensure that the meanings are the same. So you have to check if the context or the thought of the statement is the same with the quoted resource. How about patch writing? So when we say patch writing, it refers to the text that is too similar in format. You only change the words into its synonym, synonym words. Okay, it is easy to simply copy text of the internet for just about anything we want to discuss. Okay, we copy and paste it into the blank virtual piece of paper, and we cut out superfluous information and add our own words, and this could be another form of plagiarism. It is not accepted. It is not acceptable to simply use synonyms to replace original words, and we call it patch writing. There's one example in the screen is the statement. These need to be cited. Okay, so pachyderm is a very large mammal also, okay, in the world, and it weighs anywhere from 500 pounds to 8 tons. It has a huge body, big ears, and an extended trunk that can pick up objects, sound warnings, greet others, drink water, or bats. If you're going to check the dictionary meaning of pachyderm, okay, it is a very large mammal with thick skin, especially an elephants, rhinoceros, or hippopotamus. Okay, are we going to cite the statement, or this statement need to be cited? What's the answer? Okay. Yes, okay, this is clearly patch writing. We only delete the word elephant and we use a parent term, okay, to describe, to give a different set of words. Okay. Um, think about what is being conveyed. Write down the thoughts behind the original words, not the words themselves. This will help you avoid the patch writing trap. Do not just change the word. Do not change it into similar. Change the whole format of the sentence and use different words that is not just for the synonym but the arrangement of the word itself. Okay. How about intellectual property? Intellectual property is defined as such by, in the Philippines, we have the RA 8293, Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. It defined as but not limited to patents, patentable inventions, utility models, industrial designs, layout designs of integrated circuit, marks, copyright, software, technical know-how, and plant varieties. Normally, in international property rights, you will be seeking a permit or a license, or a certification that you own that particular design or particular model. And when you are given a certificate and other people use that, and then they were going to face an intellectual property infringement and subject for a court procedure. And if they found out that you are guilty of this kind of crime, then you're going to face different kind of sanctions or even monetary penalties. What are the different types of intellectual property? We have copyright, patent, trademark, and trademark secret. There are a lot of authors, or you can find a lot of different types of intellectual property online, but I only get the four major types of intellectual property, and we are going to define them one by one. Let's start with copyright. It is the exclusive right given to the creator of a creative work to reproduce the work, usually for a limited time. According to the publication, for works created by individual author on or January 1, 1978, copyright protection begins at the moment of creation and lasts for a period of 70 years after the author's death. In the case of joint venture, the term lasts for 7 years after the last surviving author's death. Okay? But normally, for anonymous and pseudonymous works, the copyright protection generally lasts for 95 years from publication or 120 years from creation, whichever is forever. Or shorter, I mean. What could be the creative works? The creative works are literary, artistic, educational, or music form. Remember, copyright is legal, and it is a legal way or means of protecting an author's work. It is a type of intellectual property that provides exclusive publication, distribution, and usage rights for the author. That's why, especially for the books, if you want to use them, okay, the author will be given a royalty fee and you need to pay the publisher. How about patent? Patent is being used for invention or inventive ideas or processes, like these are the things that are new, useful, and non-obvious. Non-obvious means like not obvious or not easily to discovered. Patents are also used to protect newly engineered plant species or strain as well. An exclusive right granted for a product, process, or an improvement of a product or process which is new, it involves in an inventive step and has an industrial application that is defined by the LSU Unified Research Manual. So when you have an invention, either software, technology, process, then you ask for the certification like in the picture in the screen. Okay, you are the only one can use that unless other people want to use your product and they have to pay you. The third kind of intellectual property is the trademark. Unlike patent, okay, it protects words, phrases, symbol, sounds, smells, and color scheme. Trademark is often considered assets that describe or otherwise identify the source of underlying products or services that the company provides. Example is the MGM Lion Roar, the Home Depot orange color scheme, and the Intel inside logo, and so on. And the visible sign capable of distinguishing goods or services produced or provided by an enterprise or those other enterprise are known to be trademarks. So you can see here the logo of McDonald's and our Philippine pride fast food chain, Jollibee. In case that you violate the exclusive rights attached to the trademark, like for example, you use the name of Jollibee, but you change the sounds like of Jollibee to Joyrolbee, you are violating the trademark, and the case is, and you call it trademark infringement, not only in the Philippines but also in Europe, when one coffee shop had named their store as a McCoffee. The McDonald's company filed the case in international property rights, okay, international commercial arbitration. Um, they want uh, they want that company to be penalized for using the name of McDonald's McCoffee. You know the coffee shop of McDonald's is McCoffee. And then the arbitration committee had decided that they have to change the name of McCoffee. They are not allowed to use the name of McDonald because it is already license exclusive for McDonald's company. So if you violate that, we call it trademark infringement. And lastly is what we call trademark secret. These trademark secrets are proprietary procedures, system, devices, formulas, strategies, or other information that is confidential and exclusive to the company using them. They act as competitive advantage for the business. That's why the formula of Coca-Cola, they don't disclose that to the stores or to the other factory or manufacturer of soda that is not authorized or owned by Coca-Cola Corporation. Same as with the recipe of the fast food chain and the time, the equipments that are being used in cooking the chicken, the preparation of burger, those formula are secret and it is not being disclosed to the public, and they were given a certification, okay, the exclusiveness of the usage of those formula, and we call it trademark secrets. And that is the end of our presentation. I hope that you learned a lot about plagiarism and international property rights. Remember, the reason why you are writing a research is you want to discover new knowledge, okay, new ideas that is yours, okay, by analyzing different data to come up with a new information. If you're going to use other information, or if you're going to get other idea, it is no longer a research study. It is more on copying or plagiarism. Okay, having an attitude of being an explorer or discoverer would give you a protection of copying the other works or stealing other ideas. That's why it is very important that you understand how are you going to do quoting and paraphrasing for you to be able to protect yourself and not to be accused of plagiarism. Sooner or later, you're going to come up with your own research study, and your ideas, your conclusions, your findings, you want it to be original and it is your own work, and you don't want others to steal that ideas too. That's why when you do and write the research, you're starting to write your paper now. So please be careful of the statement or the information that you are going to use. Okay? It is not wrong to cite or to quote other authors' work. Okay? It is more ethical if you're going to acknowledge them. Okay? And at the end of your research study, for sure your conclusion, okay, will be original because it is because it undergone with a series of process and the series of thematic coding and analysis and evaluation of the data that you had gathered. Okay, and that's for all today. And I hope that you learned a lot. And if you have any further question, just send me just send to me through email, and I will be much willing to answer all of your queries. This is your professor, Dr. Cassandra Simbao. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you.